Welcome to Matrix Uploaded Life Sciences. I am Helen de Wet, and I'm going to be with you right from this week right until the end of the year, working with you through your life sciences curriculum. And you need to remember that it's not just Matrix Uploaded for grade 12s, grade 10s and 11s. You're going to find a lot of what you see on this program. You're going to say, hey, we did that with my teacher today. So a lot of the work that we do is actually revision. And the grade 10s are going to find stuff that they can use for their exams. Grade 11s and grade 12s, obviously, you're going to find that you're going to benefit so much from tuning in and listening to what we've got to share with you. Today, we're going to be starting by looking at the scientific method. Now, why would we want to look at the scientific method? Well, so much of the work that you do, be it grade 10, 11 or 12, depends on using this method for looking at investigations. And so we're going to start with that today. Have you noticed that life is all about asking questions? Yeah. Does she love me? Is it going to rain? What am I going to wear? What subjects must I take to follow my chosen career? All of these questions bombard us, and we have to invariably provide solutions or answers to these questions. And some of the questions, they're just not so easy to answer. I mean, does she love me? Does she love me because of the cell phone that I have or the car that I drive? Will it rain today? We can make assumptions based on the predictions of the weatherman, but how many times have you gone out and been caught without an umbrella? So some questions, difficult always to know 100% sure what that answer is going to be. But other questions, if you do a little bit of research and a little bit of an investigation, you can actually come to a reasonably 100% sure answer. So, what subjects must I take to follow my chosen career? Well, if you do the research, if you go and find out and speak to people, you'll be able to know what subjects you need to take. Can I afford to go to college? Well, you're going to have to find out what college fees are, how much your parents can afford. Will I do well in an exam? How hard have you studied? How much work have you put into it? And so our life around us is questions. And where science steps in is that we take these questions and we try and answer them in a valid, logical manner. And that is what the scientific method is all about. It's following a logical progression of steps, a logical order of steps to come out with an answer that we can turn around and say we're almost 100% sure that that is the correct answer. So let's look at the scientific method. You can see that it has a number of steps. As I said to you, it's a method, it's a process of working through from an observation all the way through to the end result where we can say, okay, we're almost sure that this is the case. So let's look at the steps. We've got an observation that we're going to start off making that's going to lead us to ask questions. We're going to have to do a little bit of research. We're going to make something called a hypothesis. We're going to have to design an experiment. We're then going to have to conduct that experiment. At the end of the experiment, we're going to come up with a bunch of results. What we do with those results will allow us to draw some conclusions or make conclusions. And finally, right at the end, we're going to be able to go right back and test that hypothesis. And we should, at that point in time, have a solution or an answer to our question. And that basically is the scientific method. And what we're going to do for the rest of our time this afternoon is we're going to look at each of those steps, making up the scientific method. Are you ready for this? Let's start. First thing, science always starts with an observation. The first step in the scientific method is observation. You look around you and you see something in your environment that is unknown, uncertain, something you didn't really realize was there before, and now it is. You look out in your garden and there's a brick lying on the grass, beautiful green grass. You lift up the brick, and underneath the brick the grass is yellow. You make an observation. Hey, this color grass is different to that color grass. You know that every day you wake up in the morning and you make yourself a cup of coffee. On one particular morning, if you're anything like my children, your mother yells at you as to why is there a towel on the bathroom floor. So you make your coffee, but you don't put the sugar in. You go and pick up the towel first. And once again, if you're like my children, you SMS your friends on the way back from the bathroom to the kitchen. And only then do you put your sugar in your coffee. And when you taste it, it's not so sweet, but you put the same amount of sugar in. So you've made an observation about something that is uncertain or unknown. And this then, of course, leads you to ask a question. Why? And it's based, of course, on that observation. Why is that grass yellow underneath the brick? Why is my coffee not as sweet today as it was yesterday when I put the same amount of sugar in? And we know that in order to pass on into the next steps of the scientific method, we're going to have to focus on that question in order to do our investigation. And when we come back after the break, we'll look at what we have to do to answer that question.